Tourism in the United States is teetering on the edge of collapse. What lies ahead could be the most brutal downturn you've ever imagined. Once a paradise for millions of travelers, the country is now turning into a hostile, dangerous, and outrageously expensive destination that repels visitors. Did you know that in just the first few months of 2025, the tourism industry lost over $30 billion? This isn't just an economic slump, it's a disaster. Jobs are disappearing, hotels are closing their doors, and entire cities are being left abandoned. People who once dreamed of visiting iconic places like Los Angeles are now fleeing to safer, more affordable destinations like Mexico. If this downward spiral isn't stopped, the consequences will be devastating. Today, we reveal the 10 U.S. states in critical condition due to the collapse of tourism, and the final state on the list will leave you speechless. Is your city at risk? Don't go anywhere. What you're about to learn is more serious than you think. State number 10. New York. Get ready to see a version of New York you never thought possible. The city that never slept now seems trapped in a deep, unshakable slumber. Times Square, once bursting with lights, tourists, and flashing cameras, now looks like the abandoned set of a post-apocalyptic film. There are no longer lines at the museums. Tourist buses roam almost empty, and restaurants that were once overwhelmed with customers are now begging for patrons. In just a matter of months, the tourism industry in New York has collapsed like a house of cards. Over 12,000 jobs have vanished. Revenue has dropped by 38%. Shops and businesses are closing down. Even with rents falling by 20%, no one wants to stay, not even for free. But the worst part isn't the numbers, it's the soul of the city. The once vibrant energy of New York has faded, and with it, the roar of the most iconic city on the planet. Initiatives from platforms like Acorns and Chime are trying to support workers with emergency programs. But the blow has been so devastating that many no longer believe in a recovery. What happened to the American dream? How can a city that once felt invincible fall so hard? If this happened to New York, who's next? Have you ever been there? Share your experience in the comments because we might never see New York the same again. Brace yourself. What comes next will leave you in shock. State number 9. South Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina, once a vibrant and lively destination known for its cultural richness, sunny beaches, and warm, welcoming people, is now facing a quiet decline that worries the entire region. Once a bustling tourism hub filled with laughter and packed with visitors, it now shows empty homes and nearly deserted streets. Bookings are plummeting. Local tourism is sharply declining, and unemployment in the hospitality sector is rising fast, leaving many families and elderly residents without income, and entire communities fractured. There are courageous efforts underway. Partnerships with charitable platforms and cultural preservation projects are trying to revive the area's spirit. But the soul of Charleston, the spirit that united generations and made it a special place, is at risk of fading away, replaced by an uncomfortable silence and the looming fear that these memorable lands could soon exist only in history books. Meanwhile, other destinations are struggling to find their voice. The question remains: can Charleston reinvent itself, or is it doomed to continue losing its identity in this slow exodus? Subscribe and give this video a like to stay informed on what's happening across America, completely free. State number 8. Illinois. This is what's happening in Illinois, a giant slowly falling into silence. McCormick Place, the legendary convention center that once hosted hundreds of events each year, now stands empty, reflecting Chicago's overall decline since the start of 2025. A wave of cancellations has left hotels half full, restaurants shuttering, and transport services operating without passengers. Large conferences have migrated to digital platforms like Zoom or PIN, but the experience isn't the same, nor is the economic impact. Thousands have lost their jobs, and many residents are leaving the city. Chicago, once a powerhouse of innovation, business, and integration, is now struggling to maintain its place on the map. Some are adapting, learning new skills online through LinkedIn Learning or building businesses with platforms like Wix. But the emptiness left behind is massive. Can Chicago reinvent itself, Or are we witnessing the beginning of the end for one of the Midwest's most iconic cities? If you've ever attended a conference there, you know the energy it once had. If not, you may soon witness how history fades in real time. State number 7. Tennessee. Welcome to Tennessee, where the silence is starting to drown out even the loudest chords. In Nashville, a city once alive with music on every corner, there's now a melancholic stillness. The famous bars of Broadway are going dark one by one. Festivals like the CMA Fest have been cancelled due to lack of attendance. The entertainment industry has already lost over $400 million in just the first few months of 2025. Hotel occupancy in downtown Nashville has dropped by more than 35%. Tour buses no longer run, and souvenir shops are empty. Independent musicians are either abandoning the city or pleading for support, many turning to platforms like Patreon or Ko-Fi, where fans are now the only applause they receive. Organizations like Music Alliance are doing what they can, offering health insurance and emotional support, but the reality is grim. When the music stops, Nashville loses its voice, its soul, and its very reason for being. Tell us in the comments, what path do you think lies ahead? State number 6. Florida. Remember when Florida meant perfect vacations, crowded beaches, and laughter in theme parks? That paradise is fading, and fast. Today, walking through some of Florida's most famous tourist areas feels like exploring the ruins of a shattered dream. Empty hotels. Closed restaurants. Amusement parks shortening hours due to lack of visitors. Miami, Orlando, and Clearwater no longer shine like they used to. Even Canadian tourists, who once filled the state during winter months, are now looking elsewhere, often choosing destinations like Mexico. What was once a promised land for retirees and adventurers is now plagued by uncertainty. This isn't just a dip in tourism, it's a collapse of identity. The situation is so dire that over 1 million tourism-related jobs are at risk. In just 3 months, the industry lost 17% of its workforce, dragging down small businesses, transport services, souvenir shops, and thousands of family dreams with it. Unemployment is on the rise. Young people are fleeing in search of opportunities, leaving behind an older population trapped in a state that no longer offers the sparkle it once had. Apps like NeighborFund are offering temporary relief, but they can't restore the hope that's been lost. Is this the beginning of the end for America's most famous tourist icon? Or just a passing storm? Share your thoughts in the comments, because what's coming next will make you question the future of even more untouchable American cities. State number 5. Nevada. There was a time when Las Vegas sparkled like a gem in the desert, a place where sleepless nights and endless parties defined the city's pulse. But today, that once immortal city is beginning to close its eyes. The casinos no longer roar with life. Legendary hotels like the Luxor and Excalibur have dimmed their neon lights. Entertainment districts are quiet. Taxi stands sit unused, and performers who once dazzled on the Strip are now turning to side gigs to survive. Las Vegas is facing the worst tourism decline in its history. Hotel occupancy has plummeted by 43%. Casino revenue has dropped by nearly 50% since the start of 2025. Major shows have been canceled. Iconic venues like Caesar's Palace are seeing record low foot traffic. Even the fountains at the Bellagio no longer attract the awestruck crowds they once did. Behind the lights and glamour, thousands of workers in hospitality, entertainment, and transportation are now unemployed. The city's economic model, once seen as resilient, is unraveling before our eyes. Uber drivers wait hours for a single ride. Bartenders who once made a fortune in tips are struggling to pay rent. Local initiatives are offering gig economy solutions, but they don't fill the massive void. If Las Vegas, the heart of American entertainment, can go dark, what hope is left for the rest of the nation's tourism? State number 4. California. California, the Golden State, now seems tarnished. Once the dream destination for millions, from the beaches of Santa Monica to the glamour of Hollywood, it's now marked by soaring costs, safety concerns, and a dramatic plunge in visitors. In San Francisco, tourism has declined by more than 45%. Los Angeles has seen over 3 million fewer tourists compared to last year. Homeless encampments now line the streets near luxury hotels. Public safety concerns are driving away families and international travelers alike. Disneyland, often called the happiest place on earth, has reduced hours and ticket sales have dropped significantly. Airbnbs are sitting vacant. Tour guides are out of work. Even iconic destinations like Napa Valley are seeing empty vineyards and shuttered tasting rooms. Californians are feeling the pinch, not just business owners, but everyday workers in restaurants, transport, and retail. The state is trying to pivot, investing in virtual tourism and green travel alternatives, but the damage is already done. If California can't attract tourists with all its natural beauty, iconic attractions, and cultural power, what message does that send to the rest of the world? State number 3. Hawaii. Imagine the Hawaiian Islands without tourists. The image feels unnatural, yet it's becoming reality. Tourism in Hawaii, once the heartbeat of its economy, has collapsed. Hotel occupancy across the islands has fallen below 40%. Luau shows are being cancelled. Tour boats are anchored indefinitely. Airlines have cut direct flights to the islands. In 2025 alone, Hawaii's tourism revenue dropped by $12 billion. Thousands of workers in resorts, restaurants, and travel agencies are now without income. Local businesses that depend on a steady stream of visitors are vanishing, replaced by boarded windows and "for lease" signs. The cost of living has made it impossible for displaced workers to stay. Native Hawaiians, already struggling with the impacts of tourism-driven gentrification, are now facing a dual crisis: economic devastation and cultural dislocation. Apps like GoFundMe are flooded with Hawaiians asking for help just to pay utility bills. When paradise no longer welcomes visitors, what hope remains for the industry? Has the world's image of Hawaii faded forever?